and echo them in your own community. I tell my brother clergy to preach these testimonies. Those of you who give pro-life talks or you have pro-life newsletters or blogs or emails or websites, take the testimonies, spread them far and wide, because when people hear this, there's no way for them to dispute the fact that abortion destroys everything it touches. Take these testimonies. You can find them all at silentnomoorawareness.org. silentnomoorawareness.org. You read them, you download them, you'll see the videos, and together, this great tidal wave of witness and testimony will bring an end to the abortion empire in the United States and throughout the world. Thank you for getting behind this campaign. And now, together with Janet Morano, who is the Executive Director of Priests for Life and who right now is in Washington, D.C., getting the engines going there in advance, we have Georgette Forney, who's the President of Anglicans for Life, the co-founder of this great campaign, Silent No More Awareness. Georgette.
Thank you, Father Frank. And also, I just want to thank all of you for... Thank you. This is the 9th year we've done this. And every year when we start, I get emotional all over again. And it's because I've been in my office in Pittsburgh. I have read their stories. And I have talked with them on the telephone. And I've encouraged them. And I know that it's cost them a lot of pain and a lot of healing to be able to stand up here and share what is not an easy thing to share. It's a courageous thing that we do to stand up and talk about our sin. But we talk about it because we want to offer hope to you and to others out there. So please help us get this message out. Our website that Father Frank told you about has almost 1,200 text testimonies and over 100 video testimonies. And after the March for Life and the Walk for Life, there's going to be about 200 testimonies. And during this same time, around the country, there are 20 other happenings and gatherings. So we are a movement, and we're strong. We've been in 10 countries talking about our stories, and we will be silent no more.
Yeah.
We need you to help us be silent no more. I was 16 years old when I had my abortion. And I had my abortion because I didn't want my parents to find out that I was sexually active. And I tried to hide it because I was the good girl. I was the young one in the family that did everything right. And I didn't want my reputation tarnished. So I took myself to the clinic. I remember driving there. And I remember thinking, this feels wrong, but it's legal, so it must be okay. And I allowed them to give me a pill. I didn't ask any questions. As a 16-year-old, I thought I knew what I was doing. It was 1976. And I remember laying on the table and seeing this nurse walk by with a stainless steel container, and I said to her, is that my baby? And she said, oh, everything's going to be okay. She tapped my shoulder. They had me get up shortly thereafter, and they sent me on my way. And I remember getting to my sister's house and crying and going to bed, and I kept crying, and I couldn't stop crying. I woke up the next morning on Sunday morning, and I was still crying. And I kept thinking, I've got to go home. How can I pretend everything's okay? And I remember very clearly deciding that yesterday, October 4th, never happened. And for 19 years, I pretended October 4th, 1976 didn't happen. And God broke me out of my denial in 1995 when He allowed me to recognize that I didn't just have an abortion, I aborted a child. And I was able for 19 years to live in that denial. And that's an important thing to understand when you're dealing with somebody who's had an abortion and they don't want to talk about it. Denial is a safe place. And it's only through prayer and the fact that people were praying for me to come out of my denial that I did, and that God met me, and I was able to go through healing. I went through a program called Forgiven and Set Free, And I understood in that program that there was no sin that was too big for God to forgive. And that if He could forgive my abortion, I needed to forgive myself, and I needed to accept the fact that my child was in heaven, and that I would one day see Elizabeth again. And I am so grateful that God gave me that gift. And it was so neat that the scriptures make it clear. And it's not just a hope I have, it's the hope that we all have. And it was in that of God's unconditional love that I gave myself back to Him and said, let's do whatever we can to change this. And that's what we have here. And now you're going to hear from so many other courageous women that want to tell their stories and want to be silent no more. Our first lady is going to come up. Who's going to start? Which way are we going to start here? Everybody's kind of looking at each other. Leslie? Leslie Dean is our regional coordinator for San Diego. We have three Leslies. Three Leslies that are regional coordinators. And this is Leslie Bernoli from San Diego. Leslie Dean is in Maryland tomorrow, that I'll see her. So come on up. We regional coordinators are our local leaders. Go on our website and you'll see the flags of the different nations, and you can see if we have a regional coordinator in your area. If we don't, we'd invite you to contact me about possibly joining the team. You don't have to have had an abortion. In fact, we prefer everybody never to have abortions. But certainly, whatever which way, if you want to bring Silent No More to your community, contact me, please. Leslie?
Hi. I was in college and I had a crisis pregnancy. I wanted to finish college, so I chose to have an abortion. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I was pro-choice at the time. I was told that it was a simple procedure and that I could get on with my life. I was not prepared for what happened to me in the back room. The experience of the abortion was not simple. It was painful and frightening. I never wanted to think about it again. I just wanted to get on with my life like they said I would. But after the abortion, I used alcohol to make myself feel better, and I tried to forget the experience. I was no longer able to concentrate, and I ended up dropping out of college. I did not get on with my life like they said I would. I struggled with guilt, shame, and self-hate for decades. It would be 25 years later before I would finally seek help. I attended a Rachel's Hope retreat for after-abortion healing in San Diego. At this retreat, I experienced God's love and mercy. I was finally able to share my secret with other women who had similar stories and pain like mine. I was finally able to let go of the feelings of guilt, shame, and self-hate that I held for decades. At the retreat, I was able to give honor and dignity to my child. My simple procedure has a name. Her name is Rebecca, and she is my daughter, and I am her mom, and I wear her birth ring on my finger. Abortion did not help me, it hurt me. I did not get on with my life like they said I would. I suffered for years until I sought help. They tell you that abortion is a simple procedure and that you can get on with your life. Well, you do momentarily, but you spend your whole life trying to forget it. Women deserve better. That's why I'm silent no more.
This is Kathy Hearn from San Diego also.
30 years ago, I was at a point in my life when it was filled with nothing but difficult choices. I was divorced with 2 small children. I discovered I was pregnant for the 3rd time and unmarried. I didn't really stop to consider my choices. I just simply looked at it as an effective and immediate solution. I remember feeling totally alone in that office and to try to see it as happening as a simple procedure. It was actually quite painless until I felt this tearing in my soul. It was a spiritual pain so deep that I remember thinking, what have I just done? I went to confession and the priest asked if I understood what I had done and was I sorry. And I said yes, and I was sorry. Yet I felt God was punishing me for a selfish moment of pleasure. I thought I was okay, fix the problem, get on with life. But I wasn't. I could cut that child out of my body, but I could not cut her out of my heart, not out of my soul. 25 years later, having suffered bouts of depression and failures in all my relationships, it was revealed to me that the missing part of me was my aborted child, and all the effects that one decision had made in my life. I hadn't understood abortion. I hadn't really let myself look too closely at my decision to abort, because the reality of my choice was so very horrendous. I sacrificed this child for my own selfish needs, reasoning that I was doing it for the good of my children. I didn't even want to look at this child as a person, because then it would be too real, murdering my own child. What mother does that? It wasn't until my post-abortive retreat, which was about 5 years ago, that I began to understand three important things. The depth of what I had actually done by destroying my child, not a pregnancy, not a medical procedure, not a fetus, but a soul, a person, a child of God. 2, that Jesus had forgiven me, but I had never forgiven myself. And then I learned how to forgive myself. And 3, that this child was and would always be a part of me, a part of our family, a part of God. I not only cheated this child from all the accomplishments and enjoyments of life, but I cheated myself, my family, the world, and God. I know we will be together again, and my heart will be whole, for my child waits for me with the Lord. So I stand here today, vowing to be silent no more, to testify to the truth of the deception that the pro-life campaign creates, and for the thousands of men and women who cry in pain for the loss of their child in the choice of abortion.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan Swander. I'm from Oregon. I'm 60 years old. I had my first abortion in 1968, before Roe v. Wade. I was 18, was just starting college and a career. I didn't want to be a parent. Everyone told me I didn't have to be. I never thought I was carrying a baby or a child. I thought it was just some cells. It was just a problem to deal with. I didn't even know the one-night stand father. I was living a very promiscuous life and didn't want my Catholic parents to find out. An abortion in Mexico was the answer, or so I thought. My second and third unplanned pregnancies were with a married man with whom I was having an affair. I couldn't make a regular. He told me to have an abortion each time or he would leave. He would not even consider having a child with me. I caved into his demands. Again, they were not babies, and I was floundering in my alcoholic thinking. I've actually blocked all 3 actual abortion procedures. After my first abortion, I started drinking on a daily basis. Denial kicked in and has blocked my memory of what actually happened. After each abortion, I suppose I felt a brief sense of relief that the problem was solved. So I thought. But as time went on, my drinking became worse, and I was more promiscuous than ever. I dated many men, couldn't make a relationship work. I started overeating, fell into depressions. I was miserable and didn't know why. Finally, in 2003, after 36 years of misery, I found help through a program called Rachel's Vineyard Healing Retreats. Attending a retreat started me on a road to healing. I'm not fixed yet, but I am so much better. I know that God and my children, Luke, Grace, and Benjamin, that I wear on my necklace, have forgiven me. I'm working on forgiving myself. Part of my healing journey is to share our story, which is why I am silent no more, and why I'm here today to speak out. Thank all of you for being here today, too. Thank you.
Christina is from Oregon or Washington State.
In 1980, I was 17 years old.